Shabbos Daf Nun Zayin. It's amazing. We're already holding 56 Daf into Shabbos. How time flies. Brand new Perek. B'mei Isha Yaitza. The next few Mishnayos discuss what items a woman is not permitted to wear into Rabim. The concern is if they are jewelry, she might remove them to show her friends. And if it's the first few items in the Mishnah talking about braiding one's hair with a strand of wool or a strand of flax, that is a concern. If a woman has to go to the mikvah, it creates a chatzitza. Since water cannot penetrate between the strand and the hair, she must loosen it, and she might remove it and walk 4 amas in Rosh Hashanah. There's a Mishnah in Mikvahs that brings these strands of hair that one braids their hair with, and it says that according to everybody, if one uses a strand of human hair, not attached to her, just human hair, in order to braid her own hair, that does not create a chatzitza according to everybody. You cannot tighten it tight enough where the water can't penetrate. The water will penetrate, and therefore it's not a chatzitza. The only place there's a machlokes, if there is a machlokes, the machlokes whether or not there's a machlokes, is that Rabbi Yehuda holds in a strand of wool there's no chatzitza, and then Tanna Kama holds even in a strand of wool there is a chatzitza. If these strands of wool, of flax, are tightened very tight around the neck, that would create a chatzitza. If it creates a chatzitza on here, it creates a chatzitza on soft skin. But usually a woman does not tighten it around her neck like that. She doesn't want to choke herself. She'll wear a choker, but she won't choke herself to the point of suffocation. And therefore, it usually doesn't create a chatzitza. There is an exception if a woman wears a kalta. That's part of a bib, and the top part is a wide string that's very smooth, and they tighten it really tight to create a double chin. In those days, it was a sign of wealth if you had a little bit extra calories, if you had that double chin. And therefore, that does create a chatzitza. Now, there's no problem of she might take it off, remove it, and show it to her friend, because then her scam will be exposed. She won't remove it for that reason, but she'll remove it for a chatzitza. The Mishnah says a woman cannot walk out with a tetefes. Tetefes, we say every day, tetefes, that's where the tefillin are. Basically, it's a headband that goes from ear to ear around on the forehead. Rav Yosef said that it's some sort of amulet, but Rabbi says if it's an amulet and it's a mumcha amulet, she's permitted to walk out with that on Shabbos. A woman is permitted to go out with sort of a bathing cap, what we call today a snood. That's a golden snood. It has beauty to it. It's more like jewelry. And if these tetefes is attached to that snood, or sarvitin, which goes the opposite way, if they are attached, then she's permitted to go out with it because she won't remove the snood, because then her hair will be exposed in public, and she won't do that. Sarvitin is a headband like what the girls wear today, only it goes down to the jaw. The poor women would decorate it with colorful strings, and the wealthier women would decorate it with gold and silver. Some Rishonim hold that if a wealthy woman decorates it with strings, there's no concern that she might remove it to show her friends, because the opposite is true. She doesn't want to show that to her friends. She wants to show her friends gold and silver. Reb Shimon ben Elazar holds there's something called a kavel. There's a discussion in the Gemara. Today we're holding that kavel means a cap, like a yarmulke made out of wool. And since a woman doesn't want to remove that because it might expose her hair, therefore she could wear that in the Rishus Hayachid, not Rishus Rabbim. And that is because we don't want to take away all her jewelry, that she shouldn't become disgusting in the eyes of her husband. Istama is another piece of fabric that comes to cover the runaway hairs that stick out on the bottom of the kavel. That is also an issue she might take off to show her friends, and therefore she's not permitted to go out with that in Rosh Hashanah. There are 3 halachas the Gemara says concerning an istama. The way an istama is made is it's felt, and felt is not shua tavi v'nois. The Rosh Hashanah of shatnez, shua tavi v'nois, has to be woven and like a piece of fabric made out of threads. And this one is basically, you could even take flax and wool, but you press them together rather with making strings. And therefore, there is no shatnez. And since there's no shatnez, it's not considered a beged. And if it's not a beged, then there's no halachas of tzaras. So even if you find a funny color looking thing on your beged, green, red, whatever the color, it is not tzaras because this is not considered a beged. The other halachas, you're not allowed to go out with it in Rosh Hashanah like we discussed. And finally, Reb Shimon says, although there's an isser for a kala to wear a tiara, a crown on her head, this istama does not constitute a crown, and therefore she's permitted to go out with it. A kala is permitted to wear one of these. Have a wonderful day.